the charity is 100% owned and run, the particular one we're talking about, by Bono of U2, and he does give 2% of it to actual charity. So it's worse than that. He just takes the money and then gives 2%. And we can put that article that they found back up on screen. That's out of Metro News. That's in London, the big paper in London that's in the subways. Bono under fire over one charity donations, and then it shows how he gives 2%. Imagine that. Give me money for poor Africans. Look, I'm a liberal. I love black people. And then he gives 2%. But if you have a business and you hire people, period, and then you keep a bigger percentage of the profit because you take the risk, you run the business, you work at midnight, you show up, it's greedy and bad. Warren Buffett says you should pay more taxes because he's exempt and he gets your money. I didn't mean to go off onto that tangent there. Before I get back into Ebola and give the phone number out to take your calls, I personally am doing everything I can to boost my immune system. And from the research I've done and what Dr. Groups has broken down, you can read about it and watch the informational videos at InfoWarsLife.com. I believe that the best thing for me, and I've had incredible results in my health, my stamina, my energy. You've heard the rave reviews from listeners. With Survival Shield, Super Nascent Iodine X2, the only source of iodine that's deep earth crystal source from the truly pure iodine. What we get turns into a gas in a Petri dish when it's heated up to 100 degrees. This hidden out of seaweed, ladies and gentlemen. This hidden out of the ocean. This is the real deal. And it's available at InfoWarsLife.com. And for a very limited time, I was thinking yesterday, why should we just give 5% off on Survival Shield X2 or the original Survival Shield? It's about 50% weaker and not as strong. And it's from a very pure seaweed source, but not the same. It's still excellent, more palatable for children and others we found. So we have both available, both original and Survival Shield X2. Why not just give 5% off across the board at InfoWarsLife.com for a very limited time with promo code NOW, N-O-W. It's time to protect ourselves. It's time to get ready. It's now to boost our immune systems now, in my family, for sure. InfoWarsLife.com, and get your vitamin C, and get your vitamin D, and get your vitamin B12 as well, folks, and get your sunshine, and get right with God, because I've been saying before this Ebola even broke out 6 months ago, the MRSA, the superbacteria, the plagues, the superviruses, the drug-resistant, even the feds are saying they want to start restricting antibiotics to be given to animals when they're not sick. I've been in turkey and poultry production facilities. I've seen them. I worked off and on for years in agriculture, working for a large animal vet, so I've seen it all. And let me tell you, those big factory farms are hellish. They are like something out of a science fiction movie. You know, 1 million chickens in one giant facility with mites crawling all over them, and they can't even stand up. They're force-feeding them so fast, and they give them a bunch of antibiotics, and they're basically blind. They chop their beaks off at birth so they don't peck themselves and commit suicide. I mean, it is a hell pit. That's why I will not eat processed chicken. I will only eat free range from places I know where it came from. Because that's why beef is so good, is that it is morally raised out on the field, unless when they fatten them up right before slaughter at a feedlot. It is morally raised, happy animals until they get hit by that gas-powered hammer and, you know, get their brains knocked out. They're scared for a few minutes when they're going up there to get slaughtered. And I think it should be more ethical, just because what we allow to happen to them ends up happening to us. PETA is a death cult eugenicists that are just anti-human and want government to be able to vote for the animals and then outvote the rest of the humans. So it's a fraud, an absolutely vicious, evil organization. And I have inside knowledge of it. I'll just leave it at that. But not myself, but family that was able to get into the highest levels of it and then later got out of the cult. And their information is the source of the stuff that's basically wounded PETA mortally. But digressing from that, even the government now that's run by Big Pharma is saying we better stop this, because it is a petri dish for mutations, for bird flu. All it's going to take is some airborne human communicable bird flu. I mean, it kills 90+% like Ebola. And they think bird flu will probably go airborne before Ebola. And then you don't get a cold, folks, you die. You don't get a cold, your kids die. There'll be so many dead bodies, they'll have to clean them out a year later, okay? We're talking half the population dead or more. By the way, the Black Plague killed between a third and half of Europe. No one knows. The Black Plague would kill sometimes a third of China, where it came from. The bubonic plague. And it turns you black with pustules all over your body. That's why it's called the Black Plague, the Black Death. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies, ashes to ashes, we all fall down. And we can come into the next segment with Gravedigger, Willie Nelson. So let's get this straight. We have a criminal elite obsessed with releasing bioweapons to reduce our numbers and build some Moonraker, Zardoz, Elysium. Do you think in the movie Elysium, they're just going to let big third world populations roam around and consume the surface of the earth? No, they're going to go to their underground Elysium or the field of the immortals. I've read documents, you can pull them up, where the elites in the 70s talked about building Elysium ring space stations with gravity. I mean, Ian Fleming, that was high-level MI6 and OSS, wrote Moonraker about it. You know, the Roger Moore film adaptation of it, where a world government group releases a bioweapon to kill everybody while they sit on a space station to come back? Do you understand? This is all the elite talk about. This is their cult. This is what they talk about at cocktail parties. This is what they're into. This is what they do. This is what they discuss. And they're told 90% are to be wiped out. Dr. Eric Pianka talks about that at UT. The FBI visited him. Nobody's going to listen to me. It doesn't even matter. Everybody just wants to watch their football games. I'm convinced most men, while their wives and kids are dying, and while they're crawling around vomiting with Ebola, they'll be watching SportsCenter. I'm serious. So, hey, just, you're dead already. You want to die. You want to roll over. You want to give up. You want to call anybody informed, anybody who's manly, anybody that wants to survive, anybody that wants to thrive, anybody that knows how government works or knows the three branches of government, anybody who's red-blooded, anybody that'll fight, anybody that isn't going to roll over. You want to point your finger and say, we're the scum, we're the problem. Good. You're right. I am the problem. I am bad, Media Matters. I'm evil. You're good to be state-run media. You're good to go work with Alexa to fake the ratings numbers, to show every libertarian or conservative site losing 90% of its viewers or readers when our own internal metrics were spiking and exploding at all-time highs, and you were too dumb to even get Alexa to change their internal subscription service where you can actually get the numbers showing an over 70% increase in traffic in just the last month, you stinking liars. You think you heard us? You think we sell advertising off of ratings, off of your site? We sell it directly off the metrics, off our servers, and off results, jackasses. But it shows how pathetic you are in your whole rigged world. Hey, Alexa, hey, Amazon, if your kids get airborne Ebola or bird flu and are dead in little coffins, how's your fake rating system going to do for you? Why don't you just have an award ceremony, Media Matters, with literally almost no visitors, run by the White House? Millions of dollars being spent every month on you up there in New York City and D.C. And you've got to go fake the numbers to say we have no viewers or listeners? I mean, what a joke. Why don't... It's basically like an 800-pound literal blue ribbon hog, sow, that wins the blue ribbon at the Kansas City Fair, and then you trot it out at Miss America contest or up against a revived, inner prime Marilyn Monroe or Sharon Tate or something like that, and you roll it out, and then you have your judges put a crown on the 800-pound pig that has crap running down its legs or something. I mean, I'm sorry to talk like that, but you people are such a joke where you get up on TV and you say 2 + 2 = 5 and there's no death panels and you can keep your doctor and it'll cut the price of Obamacare and Ebola's not going to come to America and Alex Jones is a liar and you don't have any visitors and you're a failure when you people are complete jokes. I produced a film, now downloaded over 150 million times on Google and YouTube alone, loose change. I made Obama's Deception watch more than 45 million times on YouTube alone. I made Endgame watch more than 20 million times on Google Video, another 3 or 4 million times on. I can just keep listing films that have been seen 10 million, 20 million, 5 million, just constant viral videos, not even on our own pages, just every day with 1 million views here, 600,000 views there, 5 million views a day on all of our pages combined, millions of visitors to Infowars.com a day, 700,000 to Prison Planet a day, over $1 million one Facebook, and we've got like 30 of them, hundreds of thousands to my Twitter. I mean, we can't even metric. Dominating Roku, Boxy, just went on iHeart, already exploding on their podcast, just dominating everywhere. And then I sit there and watch a bunch of guys with trendy beards and miscolored socks on there doing podcast from Media Matters, acting like you're grassroots, acting like you're trendy, when we know full well during the break you're in the CIA saluting the White House and meeting with generals. See, our